Now, when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, if you are ready to see how the man who has caused all of the losers in rap to show how pathetic they are has come back outside, and with this and at the show he just did in Mexico, he has proven something that nobody would have ever believed a single rapper can do? Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and now really, as we are about to get into the history that Kendrick Lamar just made, everything different about the Grand National Tour's new leg and what this could mean, and also the messages that he is sending to all of his rivals on this new stage. Make sure to leave those likes because they really help me out, and as the Drake stans are going to be mad at me, as this is the reality of how this show looked, and they don't want you to see that, and they want you to believe these weird narratives that they are trying to push across, which are straight lies. Well, listen, so people don't fall trap to seeing stuff like this and actually believing it, make sure to leave those likes so everybody can see how dominant and how historic what Kendrick Lamar just did really is. As ultimately, with the new leg and third act now of the greatest show in all of music right now in the Grand National Tour, Kendrick has really managed to outdo himself here, as after being off tour for a little over a month now, and this time around losing SZA on the lineup and being the full and only non-negotiable headliner, which now with this, when it comes to the narrative gymnastics and mental Jenga that the Cupcake Drake stans tried to do, so much of Kendrick just being the only artist on the bill takes away one of the major lies and narratives they were trying to use to still smud his name, which of course was trying to tell us that despite doing this for Reincarnated and despite having encores for Not Like Us, they were only there for SZA. Well, that's all over. And now without SZA, what is also crazy is that Kendrick Lamar did not just evolve the Setlist and performance he has brought to the table and taken it up to another level, being the only guy on stage with no breaks. But honestly, he upped everything in every single way you could think possible, as with Kendrick doing a solo show in Mexico as a rapper for over 65,000 people, which you can see right here, this is insane. Really, when we break this thing down by the numbers and look at full-length tours and non-festival performances that we have seen throughout rap and music history, this is the biggest stadium show we have ever seen from a rapper, aside from Eminem playing at Wembley Stadium for about 90,000 people, and it's one of the biggest shows we have seen in music for quite a while, not counting festivals, because really, with the building that Kendrick played in, which you can once again see it from a different angle here, its design and seating capacity allows for crowds that even for these tours is pretty bigger than usual, and when you see that even on a leg of the tour that most artists never even go to in South America, and with a place where they tried to say that Kendrick has no fans and has no actual global appeal, well, of course, Kendrick Lamar has debunked all of that over and over again, because you can see crowds like this, and most rappers can't even do a third of this in the States. Well, in a game of liars, Kendrick is one of the only people who is even telling something even remotely close to the truth. And so now with this, aside from festival performances, which would be something like DMX at Woodstock, which had about 200,000 people there, and if you know anything about Woodstock 1999, that definitely wasn't a good thing. Well, again, for actual stops on tours and stadium shows, and especially at that one with a single solo act playing, this is right there with some of the biggest crowds we have ever seen a rapper assemble all on his own. But now, before we go any further into what this all means and what Kendrick did on that stage, I want to just look at everything we know about what Kendrick is bringing to this tour behind the scenes and the level of preparation he brings night in and night out, which for me, what I have to say is that if you are trying to get better and achieve something on any level possible, well, for me, and this is why I think Kendrick Lamar is one of the best figures we could have in the limelight right now, all comes down to the work ethic that we actually did get a chance to see in rare form before the show, and just to see Kendrick this hungry despite being at this point in his career, it speaks volumes to the way he is really moving. Because now, while some cupcakes who we won't mention by name end up doing this before a show, and then they just phone in performances, put down their mics, and let the fans do the work while they run around and do cringe poses like their emote wheel is broken, all while reading off of a teleprompter, well, on the contrary, for Kendrick Lamar, he is once again living up his lyrics, but in a different way than ever, as after telling us that he now runs 6 miles a day at 6 a.m. every day on Man at the Garden, and this is all to lock in and always be on the top of his game physically and mentally, I guess with what we saw before Kendrick's show, we did get the tour version of that, as in the early hours of the morning in Mexico, which by this, I'm talking like around 5 a.m., Kendrick Lamar was out in the stadium doing a sound check and getting everything ready ready for tonight. And when you see the videos of a quiet night and a dim atmosphere, and all you can hear is Kendrick faintly rapping, and you see a few people who were on the streets going crazy. I mean, first off, if I walked out of anywhere at 5 a.m. and I faintly heard Peekaboo and Kendrick Lamar rapping in the night sky, this isn't just proof that Kendrick really is the boogeyman, but it's also a super cool moment that has let us see how Kendrick prepares and goes into every single show that he does. And when you just see that level of preparation of being at the place you need to be at 5 a.m. and getting the reps in to have the best show, when you know who Kendrick's idols are and you see the path of greatness that he has studied, this is a very Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan moment, just in terms of seeing the pinnacle of greatness in a crafter lane just show up to the gym so early and put the reps in that they need before the game to make sure that they are going to put together a top-notch performance. And really, when you see something like this, you have to just say that Kendrick really is something like the rap Kobe Bryant between all of the parallels, because when you see this unprecedented and unrivaled work ethic, this image is the only thing that can come to my mind, which this is Kobe in pajamas practicing his free throws, and I think that speaks volumes of what Kendrick is really doing here. And I guess also for Cupcake Drake, that whole line about never being Kobe Bryant to us has never been more of a lie, which is also pretty funny. But I am serious, and to just see Kendrick do this and never engage in any of the BS garbage antics on social media where he really could have, especially after Drake mentioned his kids or Young Thug called him out and mentioned his cousin and tried to diss him and Baby Keem, and despite a rap world crumbling and so many people trying to put the blame on him, really for Kendrick to just not engage in all of it and then him come out and perform and get straight to business and waste no time ranting or trying to trick fans with gimmicks and garbage. I don't care what you stand on. If you can't see that somebody avoiding the drama at all costs and getting onto the stage and answering to every single thing going on in rap and the world and anything else is just answering with their music, I don't know what to tell you, because this is a sentiment to Kendrick's genius and greatness, and on a deeper level, how he understands the laws of power in a way where most of his peers could never even grasp or fathom. And what I mean by that is with the actual show and within the performance. Well, for OVO, who has been trying so hard to push the narrative that this show was flopping and that nobody was gonna go, and then for Drake himself, who has done so much crazy stuff at that towards Kendrick since the last time we saw him, and Young Thug, who didn't just disrespect Dot, but also disrespected his own family and cousin in Baby Keem. Overall, for Kendrick to just run through his set list, expand it on to bring more energy and send messages all through the optics of playing a show for almost 70,000 people as yourself. Meanwhile, Young Thug can't even keep 5 people awake in the boardroom of Apple Music. With this and where everybody is at, we are just seeing that there are levels to this game called rap, and that Kendrick Lamar is above and beyond the rest of the competition. And now, understanding all of that and the optics of things going into the show, we can now get into the actual set list and performance, which now after Kendrick let a Latin artist open up for him, which I thought was cool to add something special for this area, and it seems like the stage and opening act went pretty well, as at least the design looked cool. Well, following that, Kendrick got straight to business and tore this place up, which I mean, take a look for yourself. With the way these crowds are moving to Kendrick and with the way he gets people on their feet like this for songs that you would never even expect, when you hear people talk about watching the GOATs on stage and how they commanded a presence and level of attention that you can't even put into words, this is our version of what that looks like, and we are witnessing one of the greatest creators, entertainers, and speakers of our generation just take everything to an entire new level. And now, while for the most part Kendrick Lamar's setlist did not change, despite him running through it without SZA this time, which did add a big difference to the flow of things, which honestly, I didn't see a start to finish stream of the show, but I saw a lot of the records and it did look like the show just moved a little better because Kendrick kept a more intense pace, which I also think allowed for him to get more comfortable in a different way. Well, now within that change, Kendrick did make some minor tweaks here and there, which you can see as he didn't play songs like Love and All the Stars. And now, while he did not also play or tease Bodies at all, which once again as fans, we are left here sitting and wondering what this track actually is supposed to mean and if Kendrick is ever going to drop it. Well, Kendrick did add some other songs that it was great to hear in a stadium, like N95 in Full, which was amazing to hear. The best parts of that record, which to me for the Big Steppers tour was the defining song of that entire performance, will just resonate and move in a setting like this. And something that Kendrick also added was Rich Spirit from Mr. Morale, which is both an amazing song also, and to me, and this is the Kendrick fan speaking, when you see that Kendrick has reached a point where from GNX he can play album tracks like Reincarnated all around the world in stadiums, and now from an album as personal and powerful and also divisive when it dropped as Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, he is playing songs from that record at shows of this scale. Well, after people tried to say that that album was a brick or it had no hits, this is just another sentiment of what can happen when you do the right thing in your career and you never do weird gimmicky stuff like another walking cupcake who is on tour right now. And well, again, to play these records, it's just a product of building goodwill and trust with your fans by being authentic and telling your own story. And I am serious about that, because from those records to count me out. One thing that the Grand National Tour has proved for anybody who is still trying to make weird narratives to take away anything from Kendrick, even though it was always pretty much nitpicking, well, nobody can ever say anything bad about Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, because from critical acclaim to being played for more people than most rappers have ever done on entire tours at a single show, that album has really made it everywhere, and that has just stood out to me about this performance, alongside every other message that Kendrick sent out, which even down to the way that Kendrick looked. Well, listen, Kendrick's outfits have always told us about where he is going, and as he was rocking something that was different than the rest of his looks on the first two legs of the Grand National Tour, as he did not have a hat and he was sporting some gloves, and that definitely made him look like he was just going to get straight to business and get some of the greatest live rapping across to everybody in the building no matter what. And I don't know what else this could mean or what's going on, but once again, I just give Kendrick Lamar so much credit for stepping into something like this solo and just showing everybody that anywhere you put him in the world, he is going to be the best and biggest rapper out, and he is going to do things that no other MCs in the history of hip-hop have ever been able to do. Because seriously, here in this region and expanding the tour this far, this is definitely something that no rapper has been able to do either as consecutively and consistently or just on the level and scale if they've ever even gotten here, and that really does mean so much. And now listen, after all of the tangible stuff that we have seen and that happened at this show, we are about to get to my favorite part, which now ending out this show and Kendrick performing the beautiful outro and love letter to hip hop Gloria from GNX. Right as the record was ending, Kendrick did say something which definitely caught my ear and that was interesting, which was now that not just in the American markets or European markets he has teased this, but in Mexico, he said that he will be back. And listen, as Kendrick Lamar is somebody who definitely is a man of his words, and he doesn't say things for the gimmicks and the clout chasing purposes, and he definitely doesn't just babble for the purpose of babbling, this has me thinking to the future. And really for me, I do think that in a way, even if it's very subliminally, Kendrick Lamar has just confirmed that he will be looping back around with another album and another tour, probably not in 2026, but maybe in the second half of the year, but definitely by 2027 with a tour, and maybe we will get that record in 26. And what I do think will happen, and what I also think was the purpose of Kendrick going out solo in these stadiums for the final two legs of the Grand National Tour and really just testing his power as a solo artist in these markets where most rappers can't even go to, period, was just to really double down and confirm by the data and numbers that a solo stadium tour is possible, which I think even for the Grand National Tour and the rollout and buildup of all of this, SZA being here was very intentional, and this was for the business of hip-hop and the business of touring to really just test out and do something to make sure that these tours have worked, because with all of the players that need to be a part of this thing and need to be in line to make these things happen, well, if Eminem needed Rihanna and Jay needed Beyonce, you probably needed another artist to get this thing across in the first place. But now that Kendrick has shown and passed in flying colors that he can do this by himself, we are really seeing an entire new chapter and era be set up. And listen, I don't know when Kendrick is going to drop or when anything is going to happen, but we have already heard faint rumblings around this, and we know that there is more music, so I do think he will be back soon, whether that maybe is a new record at the end of this year or in 2026, and then we'll get a tour in 2027. But ultimately, with Kendrick Lamar telling Mexico of all places that he will be back eventually and that he will have more shows. Listen, I don't care what you say, this is a big hint about where things can potentially be going. And so when we stack up Kendrick Lamar's opening night of the third leg for the Grand National Tour, Well, from sending messages to all of his rivals and not acknowledging them once, but showing that he is unfazed. And really, when you hear Not Like Us or Euphoria play and see all of the clown stuff that Drake does, it really only becomes a further anthem to stand up and call out his antics without ever giving him the acknowledgement that he is trying to get because he's so desperate for attention. Well, from that to even playing Squabble Up after everything with Young Thug happened, and we kind of found out that Kendrick was at least alluding to him there on some level. From all that to every other record and milestone he has set as a performer, we are really at a point in the history of music and in the pantheon of the rap world where Kendrick Lamar is the only artist who is anywhere close in terms of value to the industry at large to a Taylor Swift. Because with the number ones, the touring data, the clear and genuine, and Drake stands, don't get too mad, but organic success, and just everything he is putting together while also doing it in a way where there's not these major industry campaigns to try and push him every single place, and he's only getting all of those things because of his own hype and merit. Kendrick really is going for back-to-back MVPs in the rap world this year, and I don't even know if the race is remotely close. And considering the year that rap has had with a lot of great MCs like the Clips, Tyler's been outside, and there's been a lot of other great rappers who have put out great albums, well, for Kendrick to really only drop a few features and just to do all of these other things, that really is saying a lot. But listen, as Kendrick continues to go on this tour, and we are going to see him be outside and respond to all of the crazy things that happens in the rap world in real time again, let's just sit back, relax, and have some fun. Because with Kendrick Lamar leading things forward and leading rap with this work ethic that nobody can match, things are only going to get more crazy, scary, spooky, and hilarious for everybody involved. And at the same time as this, it does seem like the example Kendrick Lamar is setting is changing things in rap, as now from A$AP Rocky also calling out Drake for his lawsuit and saying it's ridiculous, to also Tyler, the Creator, being on a similar but smaller run, but him being exhausted after his tour and announcing a long break from music. Well, listen, I got some great videos for you to check out, so if you want to see how Drake just embarrassed himself and Rocky called him out, or this Tyler, the Creator video, which is so good, please check it out. You know what to do, check out the suggested videos.